Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sam Grayson, and on today's Google Hangout, we're going to be talking about some of the community and campaigning activities that the Co-operative Group has been delivering in the past year. We're particularly going to look back at some of the things that have happened in the southwest of the Co-operative Group, which is where we're based for this broadcast. As with last week's Hangout, we have a variety of guests with us today. But just so you know, views expressed today by our guests are personal views, not necessarily those of the Co-operative Group, although we will be dealing with specific activities and themes that have been delivered by the Co-op. We've had some great feedback from the first Hangout, which took place last week, about the half-year results of the group. There's still time to watch that if you want to. You can do that by going to s.coop/half-year results and have a look at that. Or you can visit the link on the Google Plus event page. We'd love to have your feedback on this Hangout too, so you can visit the Google Plus event page, and we're going to put a web link up so you can give us some feedback after this Hangout as well. Okay, so introducing my guest then. My first guest today is Liz Spencer, who's Membership Officer for the Co-operative Group, calling in from Exeter in Devon. Hello Liz, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Surviving from the rain and all that. We've also got Faye Bowden, who's also a Membership Officer for the Co-operative Group, calling in from Wimborne in, I don't know if it's sunny Dorset or not today. Hello Faye, how are you?
Hi Sam, fine, thanks. A bit rainy, unfortunately, but never mind.
Never mind.
Garden.
Good, yeah. Next we've got Dave Griffiths, who's an elected member for the Solent Area Committee of the Co-operative Group. He's also on the Regional Board and the Values and Principles Committee. He's broadcasting from Southampton. Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon, Sam.
Nice to see you.
And nice to see you.
Excellent. And finally, we've got Chris Ryle from the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Area Committee, and also on the Regional Values and Principles Committee. And Chris is broadcasting from Truro in Cornwall. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hello, Sam. Lovely to see you again.
Good. Nice to see you too. Okay, so our viewers, please feel free to submit a question if you want to today on any of the community and campaigning activities that we're talking about. We'll do our best to get through them all. You can use the Q&A feature on the Google Plus event page, or you can comment on the YouTube page, and we'll keep an eye on those. You can also follow us on Twitter using our handle @CoopMemberSW, and get involved using the hashtag CoopMM, which is for members meeting. So, first thing to address is to understand why a cooperative does community and campaigning activities or has social goals in the first place, and actually whether there is any place for them when the going gets tough, as has been the case for the group recently. Faye, I understand that the Co-operative Group has undergone some thinking recently which will address some of those concerns.
Yeah, thanks Sam, we have been. So as you said, it's really important, we call it our cooperative difference, that we have a set of, in cooperative terms, we call them values principles. For other people, they might be social goals or our ethics. They come under a whole kind of ream of names. But basically, it's really important as a cooperative that we have that we use some of our profits to put back in to kind of having ethical values. And the whole point of cooperatives as well, the reason why they're set up and within the definition, is that co-ops need to champion the social and economic needs of their members. So that's kind of why we exist. And as you alluded to, the group's been going through tough times recently, but I think it's really important to remember that cooperatives operate right across the world. It's a global movement. So obviously we're a large cooperative here in the UK, but there are thousands of others. And I think it's 1 billion people worldwide are members of cooperatives. So obviously cooperatives are functioning in a variety of settings, different economic conditions, all kinds of different climates. But the thing that binds us all together is the fact that we have an ethical purpose, and we do kind of have a social goals agenda. And that obviously applies when the going is good and when the going gets tough. So it's really important that we hold on to that, because it's what we're about really. So some of the things people know us for as a cooperative group through our campaigning in the past is our fair trade stance. We've really led the way with fair trade. We were the first supermarket in the UK to support fair trade goods. We were the first UK supermarket to have our own brand fair trade goods. So that's something that people know us for quite strongly. Things like animal welfare as well. We were the first UK supermarket to ban animal testing on our own brand household cleaning products and goods and things like that. So we've done several, well, lots and lots of things actually since we started. So I think we're recognised. People know that we've got ethics. They know we do good things. But if I'm honest, I think it's a bit confusing. I think we almost do too many things and then we're not sure what we're shouting about or what the priorities are. So I think we've got a feel-good factor around us. People understand it, but they don't necessarily know what it is or how it's relevant to them as a member or a customer. So we've basically undertaken a huge review where we've looked at our social goals, we looked at what we've done in the past, we've understood how it's worked, and we've looked at where we can kind of move forward really with our campaigning stance and kind of championing the views and needs of our customers and our members. So something we started at the beginning of July was we started a massive consultation with members called Let's Talk. So we ran a series of physical events across the UK with different groups, and we had a big online presence as well, because obviously that's the most accessible for many people. And over 8 weeks, we discussed 6 themes with members and asked people to input. So I'm just going to run through those quickly. I've got my list here, bear with me, I'll have to read it. And you'll see as I go through the themes, there's quite a lot of overlap between them as well. But the 6 themes we discussed with people were sustainable food, inspiring young people, fairness, so fairness generally right across the board, easing the squeeze, resilient communities, and localism. So as I say, they kind of cross over quite a few of those, and different subject matters would fall under each category. But we invited people to engage with us on those themes and tell us what was important. So over the 8 weeks that ran online, it was amazing. We had a great response, which is brilliant. So over 26,500 people kind of engaged with us online during that process, and that's just not people people repeating, that's unique viewers and visitors engaged with us. So 26,500 is pretty impressive over 8 weeks, and we had nearly 4,000 comments on those 6 different themes. So as you can imagine, we were delighted with that response, but there's a huge amount of work now to kind of sift through all that and look at it all. So we've put the link, it's still live on our event page, and for us it's members meeting time, so please do have a look at that link. You can still go on, ask us questions, engage with us in that way. But we've basically taken all that input from all our members, which is brilliant, and we're now looking at what's important, what we need to focus on, and what we need to champion on their behalf, and just look out for announcements coming shortly, I guess.
Excellent, thank you, Faye. So that sounds like there's lots of exciting things to look forward to about what the group will be famous for, if you like, in the future. So if that's the national picture, let's think a bit more about the South and West region. Dave, can you tell us a bit about how some of the cooperative values and principles have been brought to life in the South West region, particularly starting perhaps with the Community Fund?
Well, thanks for that, Sam. Basically, just to give everyone an idea of where the Community Fund comes from, it's all the odd pennies that people, members that donate nationally, don't want to have the odd coppers, or perhaps some members even donate all their dividend to the Community Fund. That Community Fund is then divided up between the 7 regions of the Co-op Group right across the country, and that then gets divided back down to the lower level, which is the area committees. People make bids up to a maximum of £2,000. They apply centrally to Manchester. They get filtered, and it comes back down through the region to the local area committee. And then the local area committee will have a vote and decide which are the right groups to support and which ones aren't. To give you a couple of examples of groups that Solid have supported quite recently, there's been a long-standing band in the city called the Albion Band. They were looking for some support for a musical instrument. We were able to give them a donation of £2,000 towards a musical instrument, which they were over the moon for. And as a way of saying thank you to us, last Christmas, they organised to play carols outside of 2 of our supermarkets. So it was a way of saying thank you very much for supporting us. one of the other local groups that we have supported is an organisation called the Headway Trust. The Headway Trust takes people who have had serious head injuries, and they enable them to get back on their feet again. So they provide some sort of nursing care support in the community to enable them to get back to being normal people again. I hope that gives a flavour of what the Community Fund does, and I'll hand back to you now, Sam.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Just sort of a bit of an overview for our viewers as well, just to let them know. The Community Fund in the South West Region and Co-operative Group this year has supported some 238 groups so far, and those 238 groups have benefited from £301,000 worth of support. So that's a huge amount of support for community groups all across the South West Region. You've heard a couple of stories from Dave about what difference it really makes to community fund groups and the links between the community and the cooperative groups. So that's great to hear. Liz, let's move to you. There are also some nationally significant campaigns which have been delivered in the South and West region to engage our members with some of the longer standing campaigns on fair trade, or some of these brand new campaigns such as a food waste campaign going on. Can you tell us a bit more about those campaigns that have been delivered?
Yeah, certainly, Sam. Well, as Faye said earlier, the cooperative has been really one of the primary supporters of fair trade over the years. And this year was 10 years since we had introduced our own label, Fair Trade Wine. So as part of Fair Trade Fortnight this year, we had an Argentinian fair trade wine producer touring the whole of the UK, and she came down to join us in Hereford, and we had a really lovely evening, a lot of very interested people hearing about the personal stories of the difference that fair trade premium and us buying fair trade wine makes to the communities in Argentina. What was particularly nice as well was that we had someone, a wine expert there, so they were able to kind of share some of the real successes in terms of fair trade wine, particularly for the cooperative group, and get everybody to do some wine tasting as well. So that was a nice bonus for that. But as well as those kind of very small and particular events, we have reached thousands of people across the UK this year with our fair trade toolkits. We sent out 550 kits to fair trade campaigners throughout the country, and they've used those kits with vouchers in them to share that fair trade message, which has been really fantastic. And it's lovely that we can help those campaigners out in the communities to share that news about how important it is to buy and encourage fair trade products. You mentioned the waste project as well. Yes, so the whole of the cooperative is working on waste, and this is particularly about food waste. So we are part of a much wider campaign. This October, the Institute of Grocery Distributors is encouraging all retailers to work together to help customers to understand how much they're wasting. We're doing a lot of work on our own waste, but it's quite staggering actually that the average household throws away £470 worth of perfectly good food every year. So we're just giving hints and tips on how people can, cut down some of that food waste. So we're doing 7 pilot projects, and our project in the southwest is in Totnes, and it's really good fun actually, because it's not a difficult campaign to get involved with. We can all make sure that we use up our leftovers and freeze what we don't need and all those kind of things. And we've made it a bit more fun by having a comic superhero to be the champion for this project. So we've got Captain Core. He's coming into Totnes Food Store every Wednesday. He came into Totnes Food Store this week, and will be in Totnes Food Store every Wednesday from 2 till 6 during October to just share some ideas on how you can cut your food waste and maybe save a bit of money.
Thanks, Liz. And surely we can't let this opportunity pass for you to share your favourite food waste tip that you've just been telling everyone. I can't believe you can do this, but go on, share this with the world.
Okay, my favourite is, and I completely didn't believe this, but you can freeze eggs. Obviously not in their shells. You have to break them and beat them and then put them in a little container. You can put them in, you know, your ice cube trays or whatever. But yeah, then you can make scrambled egg or put it in cakes or what have you. And one of the great things is, as part of this campaign, we're getting everybody else to share their tips. So if viewers online have got some ideas on food waste saving ideas, they can join us on #WOW14 and pass that message on.
What does WOW stand for?
Working on waste.
Working on waste. Okay, so we'll put a link up to that on the Google Plus event page, so that anyone who wants to click through, share their ideas and tips and hints, can go straight through and do that. So if you've learned nothing else today, then you've learned that you can freeze eggs, which is a marvellous thing. Just while we are at the midpoint, I'll just remind viewers that they can ask us a question using the Q&A feature on the Google Plus event page or by commenting on the YouTube page. You can also get involved on Twitter by tweeting us at CoopMemberSW and using the hashtag CoopMM. So there's still a great opportunity for members to get involved with activities this year. So if you're in Totnes or you're online and want to share your food waste tips, you can do that. And also potentially maybe something to look forward to for Fair Trade next year. Let's look at some of the other activities in the Southwest region now then. Chris, as a member of the Values and Principles Committee for the Southwest region of the Co-operative Group, how else do you get to see cooperative values delivered in the community?
Well, Sam, well, there's lots of ways really that we try and live and breathe our values in our community. One of the ways we do this is by getting out to see members at these popular festivals and county shows. Not only are there a great way to show the products and services that the Co-op has, but it's really nice to be able to speak to members, and we try to give them a reward for all their trade and their loyalty that they've had, especially when we've got these hard times around that everybody's going through. We try to build some understanding about our values and the ethics we've got. We've been to 6 major festivals in the Southwest so far. That includes the Royal Cornwall Show, which I was lucky enough to go to. I really like that, and it's the biggest thing in Cornwall. Nearly everybody certainly everybody I know goes, and lots of schools. About 120,000 visitors, far more than went to see Cornwall play at Twickenham when they were in the Rugby County Cup final. But so it's a big showcase. We had a really good stand there. We've still got one festival to go. That's the Pumpkin Festival in Southampton, which I think is this weekend. Another way we do things is at the Regional Values and Principles meeting in June. We had some people that work with the Prince's Trust in Bristol, and they came to talk to us. The Co-op support them through the Truth About Youth scheme, which seems really good. I didn't know much about it before, but I've learned a lot about it. We had 2 young women who actually had changed their lives around from anxiety and distress to a much more meaningful and satisfying life through the delivery of arts and film projects which were in Bristol. It was quite moving really, and it was a joy to hear about the difference the projects made to those young people. So I'm so glad we had that opportunity. But thanks, Sam.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. We haven't had any questions submitted so far, but actually I'll just, while we're talking, Chris, I'll just ask you, What kind of experiences have you had with community fund groups as well? We've heard a couple of Dave's experiences working with community fund groups where he is. What experiences have you had working with community fund groups, and how does that feel when you get to present checks to them and their money to them?
Oh, well, the one thing is that they're always so grateful. I mean, we've had a lot of applications because I think the funding from other statutory authorities has dried up, so they're turning to us. Particularly like to help small local groups that wouldn't be able to get funding from anybody else. We've just given some money to, say, I think the Chuff's wheelchair dance team, which I've seen them in action, and is a really good thing, and they go to around the country to competitions. And I remember going to a fencing club in Truro. That was brilliant. I used to do fencing in my youth, so it brought back a lot of memories for me. And we had some really good photos from that award. It helped a lot of young people.
Great, thanks, Chris. Speaking of photos, Liz, I suppose actually we should try and make sure we get some photos of Captain Core up on the Google Plus event page as well, don't you think?
Oh yeah, that would be great. He made quite a bit of an impact over in Totnes yesterday, didn't he?
He really did. We were both there, weren't we? And it was great to be able to have something, an event, a piece of theatre, wasn't it, in show? What was the concept behind that project? Getting people like the sort of theatre the store.
I think it was to try, it's easy with something like food waste for it to become a message that is all about, sort of blaming people for their actions. And actually what we wanted to do was just to try and encourage everyone to think that, saving money and saving food from landfill is actually quite a fun thing to be, and that we can all be food waste superheroes if we try. It's not hard to make one or two changes that will make all the difference.
That's true. Faye, I think you were involved in part of that project as well, weren't you? Did you have any other thoughts about how that came around, or what other things that project is trying to achieve?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I think for us, again, it was a really great opportunity as a cooperative to make a difference to it, because the IGD that Liz referred to, which is the Institute of Grocery Distribution, have got all the major retailers signed up to this during October. So I think you'll start to see food waste messages everywhere. I've started to notice them coming out. But very much with those organisations, it's about engaging their employees. And we thought, as an organisation, we can do that. That would be great. But obviously, we can push that message further as well because of our situation, because of our cooperative difference, because of who we are, and the fact that we trade in the heart of our community. So we thought it was an opportunity for us to push the boat out even further, really, and get out to our communities, engage them, spread the word that way. And we kind of charged ourselves, if you like, with engaging a certain number of community groups across the UK, and about getting people to actually pledge and sign up. And there's 7 different steps they can take. So they can do 1 step, they can do 7, it's up to them. But it was an opportunity that we just couldn't let go, really, that we could push this one out further. So again, great advantage of being a cooperative. Absolutely.
I pledged to make friends with my freezer this month and then measure out my portion sizes and be very good. Dave, can I just come to you, because Chris was talking about the Pumpkin Festival, which I think is in Southampton this weekend, isn't it? Is there really a Pumpkin Festival, and what are you looking forward to most about that festival?
Hi, Sam. Boy. Yes, it is actually a Pumpkin Festival. It's there to raise money for the Jubilee Sailing Trust, which actually takes disabled people and able-bodied people on tall ships that are actually based in Southampton. So they do have a competition for the biggest pumpkin, and also going back to the food, we actually have Monica. Faye would know her surname, but she's actually going to be doing live food demonstrations and how to deal with your waste food.
Great. Okay, so if you're around, was it this weekend, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, sorry. So you can go and see Monica Price delivering these cookery demonstrations over at the Pumpkin Festival. If you're around, it'd be great to see you and share some tips about food waste. She's going to be there on Saturday between 12 and 5 o'clock. Okay, I think I'll just double check that we haven't got any other questions coming in. No. Okie dokie. In which case, I think that just about takes us up to time. That is about all for today then. So I will say thank you very much to our guests, Liz and Chris, Faye and Dave. Thank you very much to all of you. Viewers, if you've enjoyed today's Hangout, please go onto our feedback site. We've got the link on the Google Plus event page so that we can listen and hear and learn more for our next one. The next broadcast is next Thursday, 16th of October. This time we're hosting at 6 p.m. in case any viewers haven't been able to tune in at lunchtime, so you can clock in after work and come and watch us. We're going to be looking at some of the governance changes, more on the Let's Talk exercise, the council, and things like that, and answering any questions that have been submitted to us in the meantime and between meetings. So I hope you can join us for all that. Thank you to all of my guests, and thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks.